We will now hear from Dr. Chaham Alalouch. Dr. Chaham Alalouch is an academic, scholar, chief editor, and architectural engineer with a background in urbanism. He writes and speaks regularly on how to improve people's quality of life through sustainable and smart design and construction of our buildings and cities. He is editor-in-chief and of the referee journal, Open House International. Dr. Chaham holds a PhD from Heriot-Watt University in the United Kingdom and a postgraduate diploma in architectural design and a bachelor's in architectural engineering from the University of Aleppo in Syria. He is currently teaching and researching at Sultan Qaboos University in Oman. Dr. Chaham, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I would like first to thank the organizers of this timely conference, the three universities involved, led by Dhofar University. I'm really glad that such an initiative is taken by our sister university, Dhofar University. So thank you for everyone involved. Today, my presentation, or my keynote presentation, will actually make a beautiful juxtaposition to Dr. Najm's presentation, who dealt with the smart city from ICT point of view, information communication technology point of view. My presentation actually will deal with smart cities from the other side of the coin, from the social, human orientation to smart cities. So as the facilitator introduced me, I'm associate professor in architectural engineering at Sultan Qaboos University. I am also editor-in-chief for Open House International, which is indexed in Scopus ISI with Impact Factor Journal. So if you have a good paper, high quality, please consider submitting it to Open House International. And today I'm going to talk brief really about a small background about the research I do. Then since the theme of this conference is the pandemic, I'll try to summarize the role of smart city during pandemic. Then I'll move to the smart sustainable city concept in terms of its component definitions and criticism also. Then I'll step into the social sustainability aspect in smart city with a clear focus on 3D digital participatory planning. And I'll present a case in Oman, which was done by some of my research students, actually, engineer Nipras Samir. I would like first to start with this quotation for Professor Bill Hillier from his very famous, widely read book, Space is the Machine. He said, architecture is analogous to language. It sounds odd, but if you think about it, it is more likely to be true. Language consists of words that exist in dictionary and grammars that we all know. But if we select random words from the dictionary, put them in a grammatically correct sentence, this sentence is most likely to be illegitimate, is most likely to be meaningless for the people. So is architecture. Architecture consists of elements, windows, ornamentation, composition, walls, windows, whatever, you name it, and grammar or language. Shape, grammar, unity, harmony, Gestalt principles, etc. But if you compose these elements without the involvement of the users themselves, the building itself is likely to be irrelevant to people's perception, cultural backgrounds. So involving people in designing buildings and city is essential for the success of these artifacts or built environment that we construct. And this is actually form our motto in almost all the research we do. I start all my research with this understanding. A building or a city is not sustainable unless it's seen as such by its inhabitant, regardless how energy it consumes, regardless if it has recycling water facilities, regardless if it's integrated within social fabric or not. It comes back to the end users to decide about the sustainability. For that reason, we've been working in a project to develop a local sustainability rating system in Oman that is based on stakeholder perception and is run by stakeholders. So we didn't want to import and impose lead and prem on the Omani society. We wanted to start from within and build that assessment tool. And this is our logo. Hosn is like a castle, which is a very famous defensible building in Oman. And our slogan is toward an Omani sustainable nation. The tool is not completely ready yet, but the website is there if you want to have a look. I do research in 3 areas. I do research in space syntax, and I believe many of you is aware of space syntax. We've done several projects on that. We do also research on environmental sustainability, energy consumption, etc., healthy building, sustainable construction in Oman. And actually, one of our papers on this topic won the National Research Award 2019 in Oman by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. Maybe Dr. Najm wants to have a look at it. You might find something useful, given that what you presented in your beautiful keynote speech. And then I do research on smart cities from the soft part of it, from the human social sustainability part. And today I'm going to focus on this part. And we've published widely on this. We have 1,000 plus citation. Let's start with the pandemic, since this is the theme of the conference. Actually, pandemic prevented us from a basic instinct, the touch, a basic need that we are human, we cannot live without touch. However, I'm not going to elaborate on this. We all been there and we know what happened, but there is always an opportunity in every challenge. The pandemic taught us important lessons. It taught us that we need new ways of thinking about how we design our buildings and cities. Equally important, it taught us that we should prioritize people's health and well-being and quality of life over other aspects of design. We've been deviating from this. We've been too focusing on environmental sustainability, on energy, and people perceptions and preferences, well-being, psychological and biological well-being has been neglected. And actually, I think it's the time now to orient our direction within the research in the area of the built environment. And also we need to collaborate. We need to do collaboration more than ever. When the pandemic started, people blamed crowding, mobility, and we heard people calling for locality, complete communities, 20-minute neighborhoods, claiming that these approaches will produce better community, less impact of the pandemic, healthy community, access to green spaces, etc. However, such approaches might create enclosed communities, communities that are self-efficient to the extent that self-sufficient actually to the extent that they don't have to communicate with other communities. And I don't think that's healthy. I believe that growth is associated with interaction. We cannot prevent interaction. We need to encourage interaction between different parties in our cities and buildings. Therefore, some voices called for the smart city. They found the solution to fight pandemic in smart cities. In fact, smart sustainable city model has been promoted widely recently as ample instruments to manage not only urban and environmental challenges, but also pandemic. And Dr. Najm showed us some of that aspects of the smart cities. And this is one of the initiatives within this regard. However, I think we're not dealing with smartening our building and cities in an correct way. For me, pardon me, for me, smartening our buildings and cities actually is a way to improve sustainability and people's quality of life. It should not be an aim by itself. So being smart is a method, is a way to achieve better life for people. And we should not focus on technology and ICT. And I think we all agree that being smart is on the urban agenda of many cities. So is being sustainable. But if we look worldwide, the world has failed to achieve the declared sustainability targets at several levels. That's maybe best checked or represented in the SDGs, United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, where almost all targets haven't been achieved yet. I think the reason for that is that when the sustainable development came or emerged, people rush into application, rush into implementation without proper consideration of the readiness of both the governments and the society. So I think we should measure our readiness for new initiatives, such as being smart before starting the implementation stage. I'm afraid if we rush on smartening our buildings and cities without getting the governments and the society ready, we will end up in the same dilemma that we have now on sustainability. We have targets, states and countries stated, declared targets, but none of them managed, or most of them did not manage to meet these targets. So I argue that in order to achieve a smooth and effective transition to smart sustainable cities, policies and delivery mechanisms should be put in place. More importantly, the readiness of both the government and the society should be assessed to inform strategic direction in implementation. So what's smart sustainable city? Again, Dr. Najm defined smart sustainable city for us, but I will have the definition from another perspective. I've published on smart cities several papers, and actually the work I'm presenting today is based on these publications. You might want to have a look at them. This is from a PhD I co-supervised with Dr. Islam Bouzganda, my former PhD student. And today I'm presenting work mostly from this paper of engineer Nibras Samir, which I supervised. So first we looked at the literature. We did a comprehensive literature review, and we found that Givinger in 27 outlined 6 components for smart cities: smart economy, smart mobility, smart people, smart governance, smart environment, and smart living. And here I want to emphasize the smart people part of it. Smart people are not only the high educated people, but they are also people who have resilience, flexibility, and creativity. They are also people who are open for connectivity and open to outside world. And those are skills that enclosed community do not provide. However, when we looked at more at the literature, we found a model by where's my mouse? Maybe I'll go for pointer. Here's a pointer for Shurabi, who actually added 2 other components: smart policy and smart management and organization. Smart policy, we have a lot of data, big data, sensors, etc. We need to put policies to govern this, to protect security, and we've got questions on security before. Management and organization, we need trained people who can manage these cities. It's not only about citizens, it's not only about technology, but it's also about policy and management. So we did like chronological mapping of definition of smart cities since 1996 till 2020. And we found those milestones. And when we analyzed them, we found that till this period, nearly more or less, the focus, the perception of smart city was on ICT, was technology based, whereas later, smart city definition started to recognize the important role of people, involving people in planning the cities in order to have the city as a smart city, smart sustainable city, I would say. And those two approaches has been called different names through the literature. They were called soft and hard, top, bottom, bottom, top, and IC oriented and human oriented, which I like the most. And is the most recent actually terminology used in the smart sustainable city literature. So the smart city approach started with ICT oriented city, but it resulted in challenges. These challenges can be summarized in the following. In ICT oriented smart city, citizens are dealt with as customers rather than being key players, and they are actually key players. And the focus was on competition among smart cities, with less attention given to the actual experience of people in that cities. And also this approach to smart city provide absolute trust to technology with little room for the citizens, which are actually problematic. So solution, what is the solution? The solution came from the human-oriented approach to smart city, where balance between ICT and citizens is created. And again, I don't underestimate the role of ICT, information communication technology, in smart cities, but it's not the only method to do smart cities. It's a parallel between ICT and citizens. And this is actually the current approach to smart city. So when we think about smart city, when we think about data and smart city technology, we need also to think of people and to involve them when we plan these cities in order to ensure success, future success, and sustainability of our smart cities. So if I am to define smart sustainable city, I would go for this definition. And here I emphasize it's not, I wouldn't say appropriate, but it would be more appropriate to say smart sustainable city as opposite to smart city, because sustainability here includes the target, the aim, and smart includes actually the method toward that target. So this definition says a city that smart sustainable city is a city that meets the needs of its present inhabitants without compromising the ability of other people or future generations to meet their needs, and thus does not exceed local or planetary environmental limitation. And this is the key now. And where this is supported by ICT. Again, ICT is a method. It's not an aim by itself. However, if we look at the literature, we found most of the research in smart sustainable city focuses on economical sustainability, environmental sustainability, and institutional sustainability, with much less attention given to the social sustainability. So this is where I focus my research. So what's social sustainability in smart sustainable cities? I think we agree, we know that social sustainability has been characterized by several dimensions and themes, and it's really difficult to define because of its complexity. However, there are known factors that contribute to social sustainability. One of these factors is community engagement practices, is participatory planning, which were reported as having positive impact on sustainability. In spite of this, it's known in the literature. There are plenty of literature on this, and you can go to one of our 2019 literature review paper on this topic to actually see how understudied social sustainability is under the umbrella of smart sustainable cities. So the conventional paradigm was sustainable cities, which required conventional participatory methods. But nowadays, we're talking about smart sustainable cities, which is the new paradigm. And this paradigm requires digital participatory planning. And I emphasize here the word digital. It's not only to smarten the process of participation itself only, but it also allows us to reach a much wider spectrum of stakeholders, including the citizens. We know from the literature that one of the main issues regarding participatory planning is the rate of participation. People don't participate unless they have agenda within that particular planning project. But digital participatory planning gives us the opportunity to reach much wider spectrum, and it's more convenient for the respondent also. So these are the this is like a chronology of public participation methods. It started with the physical, done with paper, maps, sketches, etc. Then CAD comes into the process, and then GIS. But nowadays we have many other tools that we can use. We have with public participation through GIS in a more detailed way, mobile public participation, and application public participation via portable devices such as smartwatch, mobile tablets, etc. And this is this onion diagram represents the results of a comprehensive literature review for one of the papers for my former PhD student, Slam Bozganda, and it shows how digital citizen participation contributes to sustainability. So we have digital and conventional. Digital contributes to community engagement, which is part of the social sustainability. Social sustainability includes many aspects: housing, employment, poverty, equity, etc. One of which is community engagement. And community engagement contributes to social sustainability, which is one of the 3 pillars of sustainability. And this one contributes to overall sustainability of our buildings and city. So digital participation is important. So within the smart sustainable city components, where is the participation? Why we should do the participation? Those are the 8 components that I presented earlier, and participation contributes to 2 of them. For the governance and people and community governance, we have several factors: collaboration, data exchange, leadership, transparency, etc., and participation. People and community has other factors: digital divide, accessibility, education, communication, quality of life, and participation. So participation contributes to 2 components. Not only this, but if we look at the smart sustainable city dimension, we have actually 4 dimensions, and participation contributes to 2 of these dimensions: governance and socio-institutional dimension of smart city. So participation is important, a key towards social. Let's see a case study in Oman. Let's see what happened in Oman. It says my connection is unstable. Anyway, Oman Vision 2040 has been mandated, has been approved, and all governmental bodies were instructed to work towards achieving this vision. So it forms the overarching strategy for Oman for the coming 20 years or so. If we look at the opening statement in Oman Vision 2040, it says, the future starts now, shaped by Omani people, And this stresses the idea of sustainability and public participation. This reflects the willingness of the government to actually involve the public in decision-making processes. And the vision outlined 12 national priorities that should be achieved by 2040, one of which is developing governance and sustainable cities. So we have in Oman desire to transfer the cities into smart sustainable cities, and the desire to involve public in decision making. If we combine participation with smart sustainable cities, we actually conclude that digital participatory planning is the way forward. But before we do that, we need to assess the maturity level, the readiness of both the government and the society. And this is what we did in the project bioengineer Nebras, and I keep repeating her name because she spent a lot of effort on that, Nebras Samir. So we need to assess the government and the society. So how we can do that? How we can assess the readiness of the government and the society for smart cities. First, we started with the literature. We wanted a base to build upon. And we did a comprehensive literature review, and we found for the government-related factor and 8 indicators. Whereas for citizen and community-related factor, we found 4 factors with 8 indicators. So we have for government, trust in citizen opinion, and 4 indicators for that, planner behavior towards citizen comments, and 2 indicators, availability of infrastructure, and 1 indicator for citizens. Also, we have factors and indicators. However, we theory where meaning is constructed through discussions among stakeholders. Pardon me. So we wanted to customize this set of factors and indicators to match the local context, the Omani local context. So we used one of the social constructivism theory methods, which is pile sorting. Pile sorting is a very simple yet, pardon me, yet effective method that help stakeholders in a facilitated workshop regarding certain aspects at the topic under question until they develop consensus. And we've done this, but we've done this digitally using a platform called Miro with a representative of different stakeholders, governmental citizens, and different parties. We did it digitally for 2 reasons. First, it was COVID time, so we cannot meet physically. Second, we wanted to be smart. We want to use digital. We talk about digital participation. And the workshops were very, very constructive. And this is the output. Yellow post-it notes represent factors and indicators from the literature with no change that the participants agreed that are relevant to Oman. Whereas orange ones represent modified factor or indicator. Green one, new factor and indicator that the participant added to the set of framework or set of factors and indicators. And as we can see, we don't have much change, but we have additions. If we look at the government-related factors, the participant added 2-way communication, which I think is very important for Oman, and it's context specific. Actually, it's important for the whole region. And this represents the importance of transparency between the government and the citizens. And the participant developed 3 indicators for that particular factor: awareness, method of communication and terminologies, and continuous assessment. For the availability of infrastructure factors, the participant agreed infrastructure is available in Oman, but the factor should be about utilizing of that infrastructure. Again, this is very context specific. That's why we actually always adapt methods from social constructivism theory, where meaning is evolved, where meaning is developed based on discussion. And they come up with additional indicators in addition to what's there in the literature, such as adaptation of new technology. And I think this is crucial for any sustainable process under the umbrella of smart sustainable cities, and availability of experts. Also, they added cultural sensitivity as indicators toward the behavior of the officials. For citizens factors, also there were some addition and modification of some indicators. So this is the final framework. I'm not going to present how we proceeded or how we concluded, because now the work is being written for publication. It's not ready yet, but it's fully analyzed. So we have the infrastructure, we have the framework to assess the readiness of both the government and the citizens. We applied that. We collected the data from a large sample from the government and from the citizens, and we analyzed the data. We have the results. Then we moved to assess the feasibility of 3D digital participatory planning. And here we decided to go for 3D digital participatory planning as opposite to normal conventional digital participatory planning. So we wanted to give an actual sense of the planned area for the citizens. So we used a platform called Modilo. Modilo is a platform that allows the user to.
We're still waiting for Dr. Chaham to reconnect to the internet, to our Zoom link.
Sorry for that. I was on the laptop, so it's connected for some reason. So the next part of the project, we wanted to test the feasibility of the 3D digital participation and the extent to what is applicable to Oman. So we used a platform called Modilo. Let me do something. Yeah, a platform called Modilo. Modilo is a 3D interactive platform that allows the user to upload a 3D model in 3ds format or any other format. And it allows the user to invite people to navigate through this model, whether it's a building, a city, a neighborhood, a street. And then they add comments to that. To give you an idea, this is a video that shows an experience of a user. The user can fly above, can navigate, and then they can add comments. And the beauty of this platform that it allows all users to see others' comments. So if I add a comment, all other users can read my comments and they can reply to my comments. It's kind of interactive platform, and we used it for several projects and it works smoothly. So when you add a comment, it appears here and all other people can see it. And then you can see here where people added comments. So here someone add comment, here someone add comments. So you can interact with these comments. So we use this with real stakeholders. And the point also I want to mention that we collaborated in this project with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning in Oman. And they provided this model, which is related to one of the major planning projects in Oman that is planned to be smart and sustainable. So it's like action research. Then we assessed the feasibility of the experience itself using these criteria: the outcome, wave communication, demographics, discussions, visualization, 3D time, connectivity, and user clarity. And all of these factors we obtained from the literature. I won't take you in details of the results, but briefly, when we assessed the readiness for digital participatory planning, we found Oman is ready, but there is issues related to the mutual trust between the government and the citizens and transparency. So this point needs to be addressed before implementing 3D digital participatory under the smart city umbrella. And when we tested the visibility of 3D digital participatory planning, we found that many people are ready for that. However, the process should be easy and self-explanatory. And there are some concerns regarding data privacy. And I think this issue is always there when we use digital technology. To conclude, cities around the world present different conditions and challenges for sustainable development, including future pandemics. And smart sustainable city paradigm has been promoted as a potential solution to these challenges. However, the focus of this paradigm is still on ICT, information communication technology, to solve environmental, economical, and institutional challenges, with less attention given to social sustainability, to aspects of social sustainability or factors under social sustainability, such as citizen participation. ICT should be utilized to enhance citizen participation processes via digital participatory planning And 3D digital participatory application is an essential step to achieve social sustainability during the transition process towards smart sustainable city. However, before we do that, we need to put mechanism and policies, and we need to measure the maturity level or the readiness of both the government and the society for that particular method of or mood of participation. So we call to learn from our mistakes when sustainable development targets are enforced without proper preparation of both the government and the society. This, along with other factors, has resulted in a worldwide failure in achieving the declared targets. And we don't want to repeat this when we move towards smart sustainable city. Therefore, transition to smart sustainable cities should not be imposed into society. Rather, it should come from within. To do so, the readiness and maturity level of both the government and the society should be carefully assessed to ensure a smooth and successful transition. And thank you very much. And sorry for the disconnection that happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaham, for your valuable contribution. Our esteemed guests, we are now open for questions regarding this keynote speech.
Okay, hello, Dr. Chaham. Thank you very much for your presentation. Actually, I have a question for you. You have mentioned that 3D DPP, digital participatory planning, based on the data you collected from people, from users, according to your workshop. But I would like to ask, we cannot generalize this data on all people, because we know that communities differ from place to place, and the sustainability is a place-based notion or concept, as you know. So how can we apply your method in different communities? I think this is like a thorny issue or a question. That's a question.
That's a very good question and very valid point. Thank you for this. I totally agree with you. People are different, and that's why I mentioned that we always use social constructivism theory that respects people's values and backgrounds. I think what I presented is a method rather than results, and this is what I said. This method can be adapted by different governmental department or governorates to actually elicit what matters for their own population. It's very difficult to generalize in this context, but the method proved working, so it can be utilized in order to understand local context and therefore make viable conclusions. However, having said that, in our research, we've got a representative sample. We calculated the sample size, and we have a strict strategy for sampling methods. So we claim that our results kind of representative of the Omani society as a whole. But there is always a benefit in redoing the method within a local context. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you, Dr. Abbas. Thank you, Dr. Chaham. Dr. Mahat Shamas, please ask your question, but you will have to raise your voice.
Okay, so Professor Chaham. Professor Chaham, you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Professor, we used to use public participation in environmental aspects, so that, for example, if we have any project in an area, so we'll ask these people, in that area, if this project will affect them from environmental point of view. So this is a public participation. I mean, we will ask them, we'll give a questionnaire to them, then they will reply if this project will affect them, for example, a road or any project. So I don't know your method. What is your method for public participation?
Thank you for the question, Doctor. I don't think the idea of participation, how to say that, your perception of participation is correct, but it's different than my perception of participation. You do participation in environmental aspects to do like environmental assessment as far as I understood, to understand how the project will affect the people. But what I'm calling for is that we need to first elicit people preferences and then propose the project. So the project is a consequence of the participation, and not the participation is a consequence of the project, if that make any sense. So before we do the projects, we ask people about their preferences, and there are a variety of methods. You ask about the methods. There are a variety of methods. For example, you have Delphi method, you have numerical group technique methods, and you have the conventional interviews and questionnaire methods. However, when we do questionnaires, and this is a point I have, and I look at in my journal when I receive questionnaire-based papers, questionnaire is not a matter of forming questions and give it to people to answer, but you need to check the internal and external validity of the answers and filter out what we call click-through answers in order to actually elicit a meaningful results. And we've used questionnaire in several of our papers, and we use what we call dead brainer question. It's a method to tell us, it's a question, very simple question, but it helps us to identify those who answered the question for the aim of answering without giving enough focus to that. So regarding your question, there are Delphi method, numerical group technique, questionnaires, interviews, pile sorting, free listing. All of these methods can be used in the context of participation.
Great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaham. Thank you, Dr. Mahat Shamas. Are there any questions from our international attendees? And there's also one more question from Dr. Mazhar al-Islam, for University.
Good morning, Dr. Chaham, and thank you so much for this presentation. Really, I had a question after listening to the first talk from Dr. Najam, and I was worried. I want to ask him that after moving towards more cities, what will be the impact on social life and health? And because as we are more, our life is moving towards machines, so this part is reducing. I mean, we are not focusing there. It can impact, but luckily after hearing you, so I got many answers from there. That there is awareness. We are also researching about that part. That it should not, if we move toward that side, it should not impact our social life as well as our health. Because as you saw in the first slide, to be together and touch of human with each other is most important thing. Just like you use some techniques. Now, I mean, I got most of my answers after hearing you. The techniques which you use, like the Miro or Modulo, etc. How much, to how much extent they can be alternative towards real, if you make a survey to real people, and then on these softwares, so can they like fulfill the requirements? Although we can engage a big community there with that, but not like precisely the local interaction.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor, for the comments and for the question. I agree with you. We design buildings and cities for people, and the buzzword sustainability has deviated us from this core task. We are engineers, you're engineers, and engineers usually think of hard part of science, and it should not be the case only. It should be supplemented with the soft part, the human part. So that's why all my research, I focus on people, because we design our built environment for them. Regarding your question, Modulo has a certain limit of number for free, but you can pay to get more respondents. So there is always the option if you have enough fund in your research grants. Miro, I'm not sure, but I think Miro is free because it's available. We use it in classrooms also for several interactive activities with the students. So Miro is available. Those are not the only two platforms, but those are the one that we opted to use because we have experience with. The ideal scenario, actually, the ideal scenario was to develop our own platform for participation. And this was the aim of the one of the research projects that I was involved in, but it proved a little bit difficult because of the lack of fund, but we still have this plan. We hope to develop a 3D digital participation platform that is dedicated to Oman. This is a long-term, say, dream. Inshallah.
Thank you very much.